this key thing here is for animation, meaning when it's red, which is kind of deceptive, but I think if it's colored, that means it should be on, but actually when it's colored, it means it's off. So if I do something like this, I'm going to go down here to this time bar, and as I move this bar around, you can see the numbers change. That tells me what frame I'm on. So this is what frame I'm on. I can click that and change that. Hit enter. It'll send me to that frame. And this is how many frames I absolutely have total. So if I go all the way to the end here by either dragging and clicking it there, or using this this play bar right here, I can play it and it'll go all the way to the end. And it's looping because I have loop selected. If I take loop off, it'll play it once and then it'll stop. That's it. It'll just stop right back at the beginning. Okay, so it stops actually where I started. So if I had it here and I hit play, you notice it didn't play. It stayed there. If I hit play, it plays from here and it comes right back to this point. So don't be confused when you're playing something and it keeps on flicking back. It starts where you started and it returns where you had it. So if you started at the beginning, now you have this thing that doesn't quite loop, but it always resets. So that way you can keep playing something back whenever you want, as opposed to it constantly playing over and over again like this loop right here. So I normally take the loop off, because I don't want to see it too many times over and over again. I want to see it till completion and hold the final frame most of the time. Alright, so now that we understand that this key means when I move this camera that is currently selected, which is the face, is this camera here, I can go to the hand cam, the tripod. So whatever camera selected here is what is said to be either animation on or animation off. This camera by default automatically has the animation on. So now if I were to go to this final frame, I'm clicking it and dragging it to the final frame, and then I were to slowly move in, let's say, and then I were to pan up, and then I go back to my first frame, and as you can see, that's what happens. It goes back to the first frame because that's how I set it before. Alright, so that's it. I can even drag it and see that animation in real time as I drag it. If you're having problems with memory, I would suggest changing it to one of the non-reflective styles, a style that doesn't quite show too much smoothness or reflection and stuff like that. Even this one kind of helps out on when you have memory problems, but most of the time you won't have any memory problems with the poser when it's in preview mode. Alright, so now we understand that this right here will set the time for animation. This is your time bar. So now we've set some animation. The camera comes and it zooms, it pans in, it tracks in, and then it pans up. Okay, so let's say I want to remember this scene right here. I want this shot to be remembered, so when I do other stuff, because I'm going to now change my camera. Yeah, let's do behind. So I can change my camera by clicking this over and over again until I get my right camera, or I can click this arrow and then change it from here. So let's go to back. Okay, so now let's look at how to use these dots down here. These dots are very important when you want to store a shot before you start messing around with the cameras and stuff. So let's say right now I'm on the camera controls to where I have it on tripod mode, and then I start moving this around, and then I get to a point to where I'm like, you know what, dang it, I pretty much screwed up. I want to get back to where I was. So because I clicked this dot, I can click this dot to where it was once before, I'll always have that. So even if I screwed up, let's say I don't even know where I'm at on the shot. I have no idea. But if I click the dot, it automatically goes back to the shot and it automatically goes back to the camera. So keep in mind, these dots are for everything. You have the dots for the poses. So let's say if I were to click and drag. Now I'm using the translate tool. And where can we find those tools? If you don't see those tools, remember they're over here. If it's too difficult to find, you can always find it here. And you just go to editing tools. If you go to editing tools, it'll come up. Because let's say if I had it off, now the editing tools are gone. I can go to my window and editing tools. All your tools will be there. You have all these other things too. We're not going to get into Python script. So it'll be a good idea for you to go through all of these and just check them out just to have fun. And I'm going to go over those in detail later on. But for right now, let's just finish up on this interface. So right now I'm on the translate tool. And if I use the twist tool, I can go to the character and start manipulating it. This is not the safest way to do this in Poser. Because look how now, I mean, I'm doing some wicked twists. He's just twisting his arm like crazy. Dude, you need to see a doctor. So, this is really bad. And this will happen, especially when you have a complex scene in Poser. Because you have a lot other characters in here. If you have a lot of other characters in here, it can become very confusing. And you don't want to just mess up in Poser because sometimes it's very difficult to change it back if you haven't set up all your parameters to be ready to change back. So I can go ahead and now use all the other poses that I stored to be able to go to those poses even though I screwed up. And that's the benefit of having these dots. I mean, as you can see, I can screw them up pretty bad. I'll be like, oh man, I messed up. So instead of me, is this ballet? Jeez, look at this. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, that's wicked. Okay, enough fun. So instead of me trying to recover him by going here, using this to fix this, trying to fix this part, fixing this part, and all that other nonsense, I can just go ahead and click the dot that I had before. And now he's in position. And like I said, this is not necessarily the best way to move him around. So let's say I move my character around. I want to reposition him back to the starting point. I'm going to go to my figure, and this is all about the figure that you have selected. And I'm going to go to 0 figure, which is going to set him right back to his beginning point in time. That's weird. Okay, so he's set back to the beginning point in time. The best way to actually animate this guy safely is to, and I will stress this, you really should learn these shortcut keys that's up here. So instead of me going over here and clicking this anyway, I shouldn't even have to have this tool up here, right? I should be able to take this tool, save some space, and now I can just go ahead and use my shortcut keys. So I'm hitting T for translate. And instead of me going here to translate this, I'm going to open this so you guys can know what I'm doing, but you really shouldn't have to use these. So W is twist, R is rotate, and T is translate. So instead of me translating this way, I'm going to click this, and now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Properties and Parameters tab. And that is right to the left most of the time. If it isn't, you can go ahead again to the Windows and open up the Properties and Parameters tab. Whatever you have selected will be up here in this tab. You can also select the arrow key to the left of that and go ahead and select any other body part that you would like. Other body parts come with other parameters. You will see them here, or you will see them here. This is more of the visual parameters and more of the displacement and collision detection stuff that's connected to it. So we're not really concerned with this as much right now. Right now we were concerned with this. So now I can go ahead and twist this arm, and now I can do it by number as opposed to by feel alone. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and twist the arm 45 degrees, and then I'm going to bring it forward, and then I'm going to bring it down. This is a much safer way to animate this character, because now I have clear numbers that I can work with. I can actually go -60 and make these even numbers. 45. So now I have this character that's up there, and if I go ahead and click the timeline, go to 60, right? Now here's it. This is going to be pretty cool because I had that pose set before. I had the pose set before, even though I moved these things around. I had the pose set before. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and click that pose. If I go to my first step and then I go ahead and play, it's going to tween in between those two poses. Okay? So watch, let's try it again. It'll tween in between those two poses. And that's one of the cool things about Poser, is that you really have a lot of other tools in here that allows you to do really quick animation without too much work.